So welcome back to the podcast, guys. Today is episode 3 of the depression talk. I don't know what to call it. This is my lovely friend Santha.
Hi.
So it's funny, me and Santha were talking beforehand. We really pretty much did the podcast beforehand. And we were just like, okay, we need to cut and we need to actually record this because it was really good. It's a really good conversation. So I'm gonna re-ask you all the questions and we're gonna have that whole conversation again. So if you want to start, what caused your depression at first?
I would say what caused my depression was just adjusting.
Yeah.
Like different things were happening in my life so fast and it just caused me to be super depressed.
Yeah. You mentioned how it wasn't like, for me, it was like one point in my life I was just depressed and that was like my season of depression. You had struggled with depression at different periods of your life multiple times, and all of them were like started from, a large life change, and that must have been really tough. And so when you realized you were depressed, what was some of the things that you realized you were doing that you're like, oh man, I am depressed?
I realized that I didn't really want to do much.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't as outgoing like I used to be. Like my friends would invite me places and I just wouldn't go. And if I did go, I'd go for a few minutes or whatever, and I would go back home because I just felt a lot safer back home. I just wanted to be home.
Yeah. And I think, I know we're going to be referencing the conversation we just had a lot just because it was such a natural, organic conversation. But you had mentioned that you were like anxious as well. And I think people don't realize sometimes depression and anxiety come hand in hand and they will beat you down together, and it's tough. But you can obviously, you've overcome it. So you're saying you just, isolating yourself. And we've mentioned that a lot. Like, for some reason, when we're depressed, we just isolate ourselves. And during that time, were your friends coming up to you saying, hey, Santha, are you okay or anything?
Well, during that time, I mean, I wasn't really the one to like call my friends or share with my friends that I was like depressed, and nobody would never know that I'm depressed. But I remember one time where I was going through anxiety so bad, and I did call one of my cousins, Dina, and I was letting her know like, hey, what should I do about this? Like, why am I feeling this way? And she just expressed to me that, this is just the season that I'm going through right now. And, when she was going through her season, she had to figure some things out. So I had to do what was best for me. And around that time, that's when she was like, if I were you, I would like talk to a therapist. And that's when I got a therapist for my anxiety. And it definitely helped a lot.
Yeah. Did it help with your depression at all? Or did you even touch on your depression with your therapist at all?
No, I didn't touch depression with my therapist because at this point I was so focused on anxiety. Yeah. And that, of course, was around COVID time, having like a 8-month-old daughter. Yeah. I mean, 8-month-old daughter. Year old.
That too.
Okay. Having an 8-month-old daughter. So it was just, it was a lot for me. It was a lot for everyone.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was a really scary time. And I remember just like, even during that time, it's like depression snuck up on a lot of people. I remember like, and anxiety, like people just got really like nervous about like everything, making sure that they're healthy, make sure they're doing all the precautions. But did you feel that like, so when you were in your depression, did you feel like there were certain triggers? Like, was COVID like a trigger for you, like whenever or anything like that?
I think COVID was a trigger for everything, to be honest.
Yeah, for real, no.
But with my depression, I think a lot that really triggered it was just life just happening so fast. Like, becoming a wife, becoming a mother, being more serious in my faith, which was way before becoming a wife and a mother. But, it was a whole lot of life changes. Yeah. And so it made me kind of depressed because sometimes, I would see my friends, they would go out and do, like have fun. And I'm just like, well, I can't do that anymore. Or they would wear certain things. And I'd be like, well, I can't wear that anymore. Yeah. So, it was kind of like depressing. But then I realized like God had me exactly where he needed me to be. And that's how I actually overcame depression because I was listening to this preacher, Priscilla. She was preaching about it doesn't matter what God has you doing right now. Just do it wholeheartedly. So I just thought to myself, like, this is the season that I'm in. I'm a wife, I'm a mother. So let me do my job as a wife and a mother with all my heart, wholeheartedly, even if I'm at home, even if I have to just wash the dishes, whatever I'm doing, do it wholeheartedly. Yeah. So that's how I got over my depression, just embracing the season that I was in. And,
that's so
you know,
true.
so
there's a verse, I wish I had it right now, but it's like talking about how we do everything for the Lord, do everything, you know, like you said, wholeheartedly. And that helped me a lot too in my depression, because I would, even if it's just doing the dishes, it was like, I'm doing a task, I'm doing something, this is what I'm meant to be doing. And it was crazy. I was talking to one of my friends, and as a mother, and since, you know, you dealt with some bit of depression while you were becoming a mother, or, you know, as a wife, I think a lot of times people take the significance of being a mother and a wife, and they like lessen it so much. They don't realize how important being a mother and how important being a wife is. And I'm not just saying that because I'm one.
But it's the truth.
It is true. And it's like, I feel like the enemy uses one word to change it. God says, wow, you are a mother. Wow, you are a wife. And the devil says, you are just a wife. You are just a mother. And it's like that one word changes the whole demeanor of the whole entire like sentence. And it hurts more. It hurts because it feels like a knife, and then you twist it by just saying just. You're like, oh, I'm just.
Just.
Yeah, and it's like.
Nothing else.
Yeah,
You're just a mother, just a wife, nothing else.
Yeah, and it's so much harder that way. And it's like, for me, that was a really big trigger for me too, because like seeing my friends and seeing people just on social media in general, seeing people doing stuff that I thought I wanted to do, in all reality, I didn't want to do it.
Exactly.
And it's like, wow, you know, they're all doing all these crazy things, and I'm over here just doing dishes.
Just doing the dishes, right?
Yeah.
Just washing my husband's clothes.
Yeah, you know, just trying to keep my house in some order.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard to just be a mother, though.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
It takes a lot to do that. And then, like, when you started realizing, like, did you realize, was there a time you're like, oh man, I'm depressed? Like, did you realize that ever? Or was it just like kind of like, oh, you know, I'm going through another season? Or
I think I did realize that I was just depressed, because I would just be sad for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
I would want more when I have everything in life. Like, what more do you want? And I would just want more. Or it's like I would be searching for something. Then that's when I realized, like, obviously I'm not embracing where God has me at. So it's just kind of like I had to like take a step back and just kind of like embrace everything and just kind of
content and stuff. Yeah. That was really hard. Yeah. It's crazy because, like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people, the more I've talked to other people about depression, we definitely all like have that point of like not feeling content in our lives. Yeah. And I think God calls us to, like you said, dig our roots deep in whatever season we are, dig them deep and be happy where you're planted, because if not, you are going to constantly be, you know, going in and out of things, and it's going to be really difficult to stay focused and stay happy too, because
I agree.
There's something about it that, you know, trying to compare yourself to people will be very depressing, and it's tough because this day and age we live in is all about, oh, gotta post that I breathed today, sort of thing. And it's like, oh, I did this, gotta post it. And it hurts because people only post the happy things. And they don't post about, you know, the hurtful things. Yeah. And it's like, then they become less relatable and more like you want to be them and not, you can't relate to them. So you're just constantly putting them on a pedestal, when in all reality, you're seeing, like, say someone posts 15 stories. Each story is like, what, 15 seconds? I don't even know. And it's like, so you saw 30 minutes of their day altogether, if that. It's like, you didn't see them, you know, arguing with their kids or whatever. And it's like, you don't realize that. And it can be for me, it was super depressing to be like, wow, you know, I feel like my laundry's never done. My dishes are never done. My house cannot stay in order. But then I see these mothers are like, welcome to my house. And it's like,
so beautiful. Okay, and it's like, oh, your kids don't live there.
Yeah. Is this an Airbnb that you rented out for the night to show this video? I'm confused. And it's tough. But then, like, I feel like I've seen a lot of people now, they're trying to be more relatable, and they're like, have those Instagram posts where it's like, oh, what Instagram sees, and then you flip the picture and it's like what I see, and it's like the mess
real
around
life reality.
Like, okay, that actually helped me, honestly, because I felt like, wow, you know, I'm not that bad, actually. Right. And so you started noticing that you're depressed, you're sad a lot. What did you start doing, and like what kind of actions did you start taking to overcome your depression?
Like I mentioned before, just realizing that that's where God has me at right now, and just to keep pushing, like embrace being a mother, embrace being a wife, embrace that I am in church, I am in ministry, just embrace all of that.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Did you ever like start talking to people more about your depression?
Not really, except my husband, obviously. We would always have that conversation. I would just tell him, oh, I think I'm just very depressed, or my anxiety's acting up and stuff like that. Okay. So, but
was there ever a time that you didn't talk to him about it, or was it always like very open conversation?
It was just very open.
That's good.
Because Pete's very like...
Yeah. He'll pull it out of you. So hey, talk to me.
Like, hey, I know something's up. That's so, good. He's...
Yeah, I know, like, for multiple people's situations, it's like they didn't tell people because they felt like they needed to, like, keep it from people. They felt, like, ashamed and stuff like that. And that's good that you had someone to talk to, because that wasn't the case for me. I definitely concealed it from Joe that I, was struggling. But it's great that you were able to recognize, wow, I'm in a season in my life that I need to, put my all into it.
Yeah.
And it's good that it was able to get you out of it too, because, well, you'd probably still be there now because your life hasn't changed significantly since,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. It has not.
So,
except with the new baby on the way.
I mean, okay. Yeah, I guess that'll do it.
Yeah.
How do you think you'll deal with that? Do you think, like, I know we said that, life changes can be triggering. Are you preparing to maybe even go through waves of depression, or are you like...
I'm not preparing because I don't want to claim that over my life. So
no, that's good. That's
so
good.
I'm just like taking everything one day at a time. Yeah, definitely.
That's good. I know for me, like, I definitely, like, I don't plan on having a third child or anything like that. But in the back of my head, I've always thought, like, oh man, if I did, like, would that, like, be another trigger? Would I go back into, like, a spiraling downfall of, like, depression? How would that turn out? And I know that definitely, that can be scary for me. So that's a good way to put it. You're just taking it one day at a time, and that you don't want to claim that, because
Absolutely.
I'm guilty of that. I'm like, oh, yep, I would definitely go back into depression if I had another kid, because that would be difficult. But I think that's very, very good point to add. Don't claim that in your life. Think positive thoughts and just continue to, take it one day at a time.
Yeah.
It helps. That's really helpful. So, well, I guess this is a kind of a repetitive question, but you aren't depressed today. Do you do things today that continue to, like, remind you, like, oh, we got out of that season or anything like that?
Yeah, I just always tell myself, like, just be confident in yourself.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I like that.
That's about it. Just being confident. Don't think about the past or don't think about the future. Just live in the moment and just be confident.
Yeah, that's really good. I think, I like that a lot. It's difficult though to remind yourself sometimes, because for me it was, obviously our starting points of depression were a little different, but for me, I would always get like random waves of depression randomly, like, and even now, which I don't want to call them waves of depression, maybe just waves of like sad days,
yeah.
Which I think is okay. It's okay to have
normal.
A sad day, but it's easy to like get consumed in that. So I always have to like push myself to be like, no, like, we're not going back into that. We're going to be happy. Think your positive thoughts again. This isn't of God. Let's, continue to be rooted in what we are, meant to be in this, time of our lives as mothers and wives. But yeah, I think this one is for the moms and wives. This one really is,
absolutely.
Because it's like, you guys are so important. Whether you're being told that by your husband or your children, you are so important. Let me tell you, you are important.
You are very important.
Because I text my friends that are just recently had kids or just recently got married or something like that. And I'll be like, hey, how are you doing? Check in on them and stuff like that. And just remind them that, hey, you're doing great. Specifically the ones that had just had kids, because, I think I know what played on me. And I think encouraging people is very important.
Yeah.
Even if they don't act depressed, because you even said, I wasn't one to really like tell people. So like most of your friends probably didn't know that you were depressed really. And if they did, or if they kind of knew you were off, maybe they just thought, oh, she's busy sort of thing. But it's like, it's important to let people know, you're important. Whether you're going through depression, whether you're doing great, you are important. You're an amazing person. And to the wives and the moms, like, stay in there, guys. Like, you guys are so useful to your family. Like, your family wouldn't be a family without you. So
absolutely.
It's crazy. Households without mothers, even without fathers, they're just a different type of household. They aren't, I don't want to say they're not as put together, but it's like, it's a whole different dynamic. So it's like, I don't know. women are very important. Obviously, men are important too. Whatever. But no, yeah, I really appreciate you being open and vulnerable and talking about, this time of your life and your season of life. But it's great that you are able to talk about it now. And
Absolutely.
have you talked to other people and been able to like relate to them now? Or
well, yeah, like especially like when my clients come in and stuff like that, we'll always have like talks. Yeah. Obviously, I'm like their therapist.
Yeah.
But
like, pay me extra.
Pay me extra.
This is actually hair session and therapy session. Thank you.
So yeah, like, and I always like tell my clients when they are going through anxiety or depression, like to just keep on going. Like, don't let it hold you back, because the more you let it hold you back, then it takes over your life. So it's always good to keep on going. Get up, do what you got to do. Don't stay in bed and just. It sounds easy, but it's not.
No, it's not.
But just do it and try, and you'll get different results and stuff like that. So
I guess this sounds like a weird question, because if I could go back in that time of life, I would probably want to change it in a heartbeat. But I know that in like reality, it has taught me a lot of things and showed me like, it helped me like guide people as well. I don't want to say like I'm super helpful with people or whatever, but like I know I can relate to people. So would you go back and like change everything and be like, oh, let's take this chunk out of your life? Or would you?
Yeah, I probably would. Honestly.
Take that out.
Take it out. I don't want
to be relatable.
I don't want it, because it was definitely tough,
Yeah.
It was tough. So
that is really tough.
I don't want it. But I'm glad that I did go through it. I experienced it, because now I could, like you said, like talk to other people or connect with other people that's going through the same thing and stuff like that, and be relatable. Yeah.
That's true. I like that. Well, I'm really glad that you were able to join us today on our podcast, and hopefully we'll see more of you too and more topics.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. Well, that's a wrap. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and stay tuned for the next episode.